Hello and welcome to video number 35. A lot of people have asked me questions about some of the videos that I've already put out. One that got quite a lot of comments was about, when I mentioned about prayer and the more spiritual side of life. As I said in that video, I am a Christian. I've been a Christian for as long as I can remember. But I've always known that there was a presence that I will call God. My earliest memory of that goes right back, as far as I can remember, to probably March, April 1958. And so I can't attribute it to being told things because really I wasn't taking much notice of what other people were saying at the time. I probably didn't understand them. It doesn't matter. What I've always known is that there is a presence that is greater than myself. That presence is love. And it's all around, it's everywhere. Some people use the name God. I do, because it's a convenient word to use. Some people call it the divine matrix. Some people call it nature. I am sure of one thing, that whichever word you use, God doesn't actually care. What's important is, now I'm going to use the male pronoun because English is a bit lacking here. It doesn't have a nice neutral pronoun. So when I say his, you can insert her or its or whatever you prefer. I don't mind. But I will use his. His intention for us is that we should live life in all its fullness. The very words of Jesus himself, which are recorded in the Gospels. And that is why I consider myself a Christian. Because within the person of Jesus, I see a fullness of God. What difference does it make? The difference is that I've always known that I have a feeling that my life is considerably more than the physical life that I have within my body. I've had a number of experiences that make that very clear to me. Most of which, whilst I could tell you about them, I cannot prove them to you. If you're looking for proof, that's a very different question. Bringing it right up to date, over the last, I suppose about a year, I've been exploring a bit more because long COVID has restricted what I can do physically and what I can do mentally when it comes to work. That's left me time when I need to relax, and I've been relaxing by watching YouTube videos and by reading books. And a coincidence there is someone called Paul Wallace. And as I started to watch some of his videos, I thought, wait a minute, he's describing something that I've experienced. So I've bought his books. So far he's produced 3 books. Escaping from Eden was the first one that I read. The current one is Echoes of Eden. I'll just explain. Paul Wallace's background is Old Testament scripture studies. He is an archdeacon in the Anglican Church in Australia, and part of his job has been training ordinands in Old Testament scripture. And he was looking at the meanings of words, and he discovered they don't mean necessarily what we all assume they mean. The problem is, of course, that the words written down in Hebrew and then translated and eventually get translated into English. So where does this bring me to now? Well, I am exploring what I can do. The passages that have really puzzled me and intrigued me have been when Jesus is talking about prayer. And he always starts off, when a prayer of Jesus is recorded, by giving thanks. And then he goes on to say, at one point, he's telling the disciples about prayer and what they can do using prayer. And he gives two examples. He said, "Do you remember when I fed the 5,000? And they all say, yes, we remember. And do you remember what happened when I fed the 7,000? And they say, yes, we remember. And he said, you still don't get it, do you? In other words, Jesus is saying, think of what I actually did. At another point he goes on to say, you can do this and more. Now I think that's a challenge to all of us. We're living in a world, in a society where natural resources are being limited, where there is war, there's conflict. And Jesus is saying, there's a better way of living than this. And I've been trying to explore and find out about that. Every day now I am using meditation and prayer to help me focus myself and to help me improve my health, but also helping me with my relationships with other people, I hope. It's not a difficult thing to do, but it's actually quite hard because it's actually very simple. But that very simplicity makes it hard. If I've confused you, I'm sorry. I really am. I'm exploring. With help of people like Paul Wallace, I'm exploring what I understand and my own experiences. What I would like to say to you is, maybe you would like to do the same thing. There are lots of resources around, but I will warn you. If you start exploring too deep, you may just find that you're discovering things that you would rather you hadn't discovered. Let's say there's a sort of a veil over what we know. Why it's there, how it's there, I don't know. But all I do know is when you take it away, you start learning and understanding things that change the way that you see the world, the way you see your life, in fact, the way you see everything. So, thank you for listening, and may God go with you, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.